Hello and welcome to another day of this framework's Jesus. Think about who Jesus is and why and how we can worship him more. Yesterday on day 9, we began to think about the priest and the high priest's clothing specifically. Today, day 10, we're thinking more on the priestly clothing, What else can we learn by looking at the details, the specifics of God's design for this high priestly clothing? And we kind of have an automatic sense that there is an importance in the detail. That clothing here, as with so much of life, isn't just about looking good, but the details of clothing communicate a lot about the person wearing it, what they do, what they think, and how they kind of what sort of a person that they are. And so it is with this high priestly clothing. Every detail which the Lord has designed for this clothing is there for a reason and with a purpose, hoping to teach us something about who Jesus is and what he's like. And today, as we think more on the priestly clothing, we're focusing on the robe which the priest wears. And this goes under the breastplate with the 12 stones we thought about on day 9. This robe is a blue robe, reminding us of the sky when the clouds are gone, no storms threatening, but the peace and the calm of the clear sky where we look up to the heavens. But the details of this robe are really where it gets exciting. Underneath, at the bottom of the robe, around kind of, you think about the heads up here, and at the bottom of the robe, all around the hem are sewn pomegranates and bells, alternating pomegranates and bells. And the pomegranate, well, that's an amazing bit of fruit, isn't it? Full of fruitfulness and full of life. The pomegranate can have hundreds upon hundreds of seeds. It is a symbol in many cultures, but definitely in the Bible, it's a symbol of fruitfulness and of life. Throughout Numbers, in Deuteronomy, and then to the Song of Songs, so often the image of a pomegranate is used as a symbol of fruitfulness and of life. And so the high priest is connected with life. That flowing from him and his ministry is life. In between the pomegranates are these golden bells, which continually make sound, and we're shown kind of quite how important this is, because we're told in Exodus 28 that the sound of those bells must keep ringing in order to preserve the life of the priest. If those bells do not ring the priest, well, his life will be taken from him. These must continue to ring. And when, what does that teach us? That sound, that metal clanging sound, like the sound of a cymbal, again and again in the Bible, is connected with praise and celebration and worship. Praising God for life, praising God for who he is, praising him for creation, praising him for who he is. And so as the priest moves around in service of God's people, in service of God, there is this continual sound of victory, this sound of praise, this sound of worship, and this remembrance that there is life flowing forth from the ministry of the high priest, that the act of worship is a life-giving act. And this fruitfulness is kind of highlighted again when Aaron is first appointed as the high priest. In Numbers chapter 17, there's this kind of election moment of who's going to be the high priest. And each of the tribes selected a man who would bring a dead branch, and they would have their names written on their branch. And the branch which sprouted, that life breaking forth out of a dead stick, that man would be the chosen high priest. But what happens? Aaron's stick not only sprouts, but buds and blossoms and produces almonds, fruitfulness and life flowing forth from that first high priest chosen to lead God's people. And so the high priest is full of life, full of worship and praise and victory, life-giving service and ministry. That is what the high priest is about, and that is what worship is about. So often people can look at the worship of the church, the worship of these Old Testament Israelites, and see nothing more than ritual and dry, boring, kind of repetitive acts. But that's not the way the Bible sees it. The way the Bible sees it is that our worship of God is a life-giving work. And we see that in the ministry of Jesus, the great high priest. When he comes down to earth, what happens? Well, everywhere he goes, everyone he speaks to, everyone he touches experiences life. The sick are healed, the dead are raised to life, the spiritually unwell are freed so that they can enjoy the life that God has called them to. And so again and again, God's people are called to enjoy the life of the high priest. So there you have it. The robes, think about the clothing of the priest. Well worth. If you didn't following day 9, or if you did it, then why not again just read through the clothing of the priest, of that high priest rather, in Exodus chapter 28, and consider how what he wears shows us and teaches us of the great high priest, of the life and the praise that comes from him.